Hello and welcome to my channel. I will start this video with a bit of a disclaimer. I am not an audio technician and this video is likely to include things you shouldn't do. If you do have expensive speakers that you care about that needs repair, then use original spare parts or take it to a service center. This is in no way meant to be a how-to video. This is just a regular guy trying to fix his speakers for sheeps. What happened was, while my Philips amplifier that I repaired in my previous video wasn't working, I plugged in an old Yamaha amp that had a lot more punch to it, and I played a bit too loudly, so the smoke leaked out of the tweeters on both my speakers. And as most of you know, when the smoke leaks out of any electric product, they usually stop working. I went to eBay and I found a guy selling replacement diaphragms. I read the description and my speakers, the Bauer and Wilkins 602S2, were listed as compatible. So I bought two of them, and thanks to some video magic, here they are. Now I just have to go fetch my speakers. To get inside the speaker, to be able to get the tweeter out, we have to take the main speaker out. And it seems to be held in with 4 screws. Now that the screws are out, I'm trying to pull it out of the box. But it's a bit stuck. It's been in there for a lot of years, so it doesn't really want to come out. So I'll try turning it over and see if we can convince it. Yeah, a bit of tapping and out it comes. Okay, so I noticed here that the connector that has the brown wire connected has a plus symbol scratched into it, so that will be important to remember for reassembly. With the big speaker out of the way, now I'll be able to get my hand in here and try and get the tweeter out. This is fairly simple, as on this speaker, to get it out all you have to do is twist it in the right direction. And here we are. So yeah, this foam piece is probably important, so we'll put it aside for now and try not to forget about it later. So this is what the tweeter that's not working looks like, and you can't see anything wrong with it from the outside, so we're gonna have to take it apart. So now the diaphragm with the voice coil is removed from the tweeter itself. And I'm trying to see if the camera can focus here, but you can see that the coil is really burnt out. Okay, so I'll remove this piece of tape to reveal the solder points. This is where the speaker coil connects to the speaker connector. So now I have to get my cheap solder iron out and preheat it so we can try and desolder this. The wires are really thin, like almost like a human hair, so it's probably a bit hard for the camera to pick up, but yeah, I'm using a knife here to guide them a bit. Okay, so both wires are desoldered. Now I'm gonna try and push the diaphragm out of this plastic base. And the tiny wires are very stuck in the grooves because they're melted into it. I don't know if the camera can see it, but yeah, when they originally put this together, they probably melted it stuck there so it wouldn't go anywhere. So I'm gonna try and use a knife to get it out of there. With the tiny wires removed from the grooves, it's time to get the new diaphragm out and see what we bought. Yeah, this is just way too big to fit in the hole. Even though it was listed as compatible for my speakers, there's no way I'm gonna get it in here. If you're an audiophile or anything of that sort, then it's probably a good idea to look away now, because I have a solution for this, and I'm gonna get my scissors out. And I'm just gonna cut it down to size until it fits. I'm sure there's many reasons why this is a bad idea and why this is something you should not do. So I cut off about 2 millimeters from the edge all around it, and it still won't fit. So it's gonna take a bit more trimming. After some cutting and some test fitting, it fits really snugly. So now we just have to get the tiny little wires to the correct place so we can solder it back. The base of the new diaphragm was a lot thinner than the old one, because the old one had this sponge-like edge on it. So to make sure it gets securely seated, I'm gonna try and steal the sponge from the old tweeter. Yeah, luckily I got it up there in one piece, so now I'm just gonna attach it to the new diaphragm and pinch it in place with the plastic ring. So now we can try and solder these tiny little wires. And after that, we'll put the protective tape back on. And trim the length a bit. And there we go. I hope. And it doesn't look bad at all. It looks like it belongs in there, so hopefully this is gonna work. So I'll go get the speaker box again so we can start putting things back together. But before that, the plastic piece holding the new diaphragm has to be screwed back onto the tweeter. Oh, Oh, and we shouldn't forget this foam ring that was there when we took it out. So now I just have to try and fiddle it back into place. Find the socket and twist to lock it in place. And now the main speaker has to go back on. And remember, the brown cable was on the connector marked with a plus. Let's just drop it back in and I'll get the screws to screw it in place. Now of course I have to do this to the other speaker as well, but I took the other speaker apart and it seems like it had the exact same fault with the coil on the tweeter being burnt out, so I didn't see any need to film that as it was identical to this one. That looks rather good, doesn't it? Let's hope it works as well as it looks. So I changed the diaphragm on both speakers and I connected it back to my amplifier, and now we'll see if it works. So of course the microphone on my camera is never going to make the sound any justice, so you're gonna have to take my word for this, but to me it sounds exactly the same as before they broke in the first place. I hope you liked the video and hope to see you next time.